welcome back to the EngineLab shop. I'm Greg Acosta, the editor of EngineLabs, and this is my shop. Today we're going to be talking about some design theory, some layout planning, some lighting planning, and then we're going to put up some cabinets. So stay tuned and we are going to go on an adventure. What's the saying? Prior planning prevents piss poor performance? Well, it's not just dumb luck that the cabinets line up as perfectly as they do, and I'm going to show you how I planned all that. Since I'm familiar with the Adobe Creative Suite of products, I started in Illustrator, where I'm able to convert inches into pixels, 1 inch equals 10 pixels, and created a 2D model of the shop floor plan and all of the benches and machines that'd be filling the space. Once I was satisfied with everything's location and how well it would fit, I decided to get a little adventurous and try to 3D model in SketchUp. This allowed me to see the space before actually building the space. There's a little bit of a learning curve, but for a free software, SketchUp is quite powerful and pretty easy to use. Now that I'm satisfied with the design, it's time to build it. Cabinets in place, now it's time to talk lighting. As you know, I'm a data-driven individual, so I went out and I found calculations to determine how much light is an appropriate amount of light for a workshop. The first thing we need to determine is how much light you need. Several engineering sources said the bare minimum was 75 foot candles, that is lumens per square foot. A detailed mechanical workshop is suggested to be anywhere from 100 to 200 foot candles. From there, we need to find the square footage of the area and multiply that by the desired amount of foot candles. We're about 130 square feet in this new room, and I would like at least 100 foot candles, if not more, because I record in here and more light is usually better. The lights I currently have installed are listed as 2200 lumens each. Inexpensive LED tubes are almost never their advertised output, so let's assume 75% or about 1600 lumens per tube. So to get to my 200 candle foot goal, I'm going to need 16 tubes. You might notice that right now the lighting's pretty uneven. And that's because light position plays a huge part in overall illumination. And of course, there's a formula for that. This one's actually pretty easy. You basically want your light spacing to be half the distance between the bulb and the work surface. So you get nice even illumination. Since I stuck to that when I did this 3 years ago, I'm just going to take the new tubes and put them in between the old tubes and have super even lighting. Alright, so this is what it looks like with the original 102 foot candles of light, and this is what it looks like with 205 foot candles. In case you're wondering, that's about a full stop of light, or double the amount of light. Now that I've adjusted the camera settings to take advantage of all the additional light, let's talk about some functional aesthetics. First is the color of the room. While paint color is usually an aesthetic choice, and this was an aesthetic choice, it's also a very functional choice. White reflects the most amount of light out of any colors, and it's also extremely neutral. I'm sure we've all groaned at the discussion between eggshell versus cloud nine versus arctic mist. Well, there is some validity to that discussion. Because this space is being recorded in, I need a true neutral white. A cool white can have some blues in it, while a warm white can have reds or yellows in it, and either of those could affect the white balance setting of my camera. So after an absurd amount of research, I found out my options were to spend a ridiculous amount of money on some actual photographic paint, or I could do what several photography blogs recommended and go with something that's the best bang for the buck. And what I ended up with was this Bare Premium Plus Ultra Pure White. While this might give up a few points in absolute brightness, or maybe it's not pure white under a spectrometer, the fact is this is way less than half the price of an actual proper photographic paint, and I don't have to special order it. This is available at the local big box store, so win-win. The next aesthetic decision to be made for the shop was one of appearance. Now, if you read our newsletter, you know I'm a fan of Adam Savage and his theories on the orders of retrievability. Now, some people would consider having all your tools out and easily accessible to look cluttered. And honestly, I find that to be very comforting. In fact, when I was at KPE, which you can see here, I felt quite at home and very comfortable with this layout. However, this shop serves multiple purposes. This isn't just an engine assembly room, it's also a photography studio and a videography studio. So, my personal desires are going to have to take a back seat to a neat, tidy aesthetic, and things are going to have to live in drawers and cabinets as opposed to hanging on the walls. With that, the bulk of the shop remodel is done. I've got new floors, new walls, new paint, new lights, new cabinets, everything I could want on this side. On the other side, not quite done. Got to get the CNC engraver back up and running. I got to fix the mill that had a little bit of damage during the chaos. And I need to organize a little better so that we can make room for some projects that you don't quite know about yet. But until then, at least I can get back to doing what this shop was meant for and bring you some killer content. So stick around.